Hello, my name is Alicia Corona, and for this week's theory, I chose to discuss goal setting theory. And I chose to do goal setting theory because it is a theory that we oftentimes use whenever we're in a group setting. It is a theory that is present in most organizations because whenever there's something you want to achieve, it is more than likely that you will be using a goal to set so that you can reach the achievement or even surpass it. So for my discussion, I wanted to start off by explaining the origin of goal setting theory. And I found through Locke and Latham, who conducted some research, that goal setting theory was developed inductively within industrial and organizational psychology over a 25-year period. Based on some 400 laboratory and field studies, these studies showed that specific, high, hard goals led to a higher level of task performance than do easy goals or vague, abstract goals, such as the exhortation to do one's best. I actually thought that this piece of evidence was very important because it explained that in this case, for the origin, the higher that you set a goal, the higher the performance will be, because you are allowing the members of your organization to strive to do their absolute best. But throughout my discussion today, I have found some contradicting research that kind of explains otherwise. But for the most part, this theory was composed off of multiple sources of research, and it's allowed for there to be more understanding behind how goals have a positive impact on performance. And this could obviously be great use for leaders who want to raise their performance levels for the members that are involved. So I thought that the origin of goal setting was really important. For the goal setting theory meaning, I found that Miles 2012 on page 129 of the book for this course, he explained, the theory of goal setting rests on the belief that life is a process of goal-oriented action. So pretty much for this, it was also kind of going hand in hand with the origin, and it was just stating that pretty much goal setting theory is just the belief that we're always going to be going through stages of just setting goals for ourselves to raise performance level. And that is something that you'll see in organizations, maybe just in team environments, anything where you want to achieve high things. And Miles also continued on page 129, stating, according to goal setting theory, the highest levels of performance are usually reached when goals are both difficult and specific. The more difficult a goal assigned to someone, the greater the resulting performance level. So this is pretty similar to the origin that I stated, that the higher that you target the performance to be, the higher that it will end up becoming. So I thought that Miles had a very good point here because he was explaining that you have to have difficult and specific goals to raise your performance because you are focusing on reaching that goal. And when you do that, you're just going to be setting yourself up for success. The importance of goal setting theory. I felt that Miles 2012 on the next page, 130, had a very interesting input to contribute to this because he stated, higher performance levels usually result when people are committed to reaching specific goals compared with when people are not committed to goal attainment. Higher levels of commitment can be reached when an individual believes that reaching the goal is both important and attainable, or at least believes that progress toward reaching the goal is possible. So I thought this piece of evidence was very important as well because it kind of explains that, yes, you can set a goal to very, very high standards, but if the individual doesn't believe that the goal is attainable, it won't do what is expected. Like, it won't have the same success rate that you would think it would. So you have to set a high goal, but it definitely has to be realistic because if you set an unrealistic goal, it's going to do the exact opposite, and the person may not be as motivated to reach that goal. So it may just lower the productivity in the organization. So I felt that Miles had a good point stating that this goal needs to be set high, but it can't be set too high to the point where it's just unrealistic to meet. And I also wanted to touch on the psychological research of goal setting. And I found that from an article, Dweck 1992 stated, studying psychological processes in the context of goals has allowed us to gain insight into how behavior, cognition, or affect is organized and how it may assume a different organization in the context of different goals. So I thought this was pretty important and kind of just went down to the specifics of how there is a lot to play in the psychological process of goal setting. And it may be more important to focus on how we come to these decisions to set these goals rather than just the goal setting in general. And I also found another piece of evidence from Dweck in 1992, page 165, and he stated, the individual's goal can play a clear role in determining which processes are recruited and how they are organized. So I thought that was interesting as well because whatever the goal may be, the process will be different. So if it's a super high goal, they're going to probably take a different process than one that's more attainable or one that they believe maybe they don't need to change their whole direction or just their approach to the situation. And Dweck was a researcher from Columbia University who tries to retrieve research to explain the reasoning behind decision-making with goal setting. So I thought that this source was very reliable and kind of just explained how the psychological aspect is affected. And something I really wanted to touch base on was advances in goal theory. So Locke 2006, page 266 stated, sometimes specific difficult goals do not lead to better performance than simply urging people to do their best. I thought this was really important because it kind of contradicted what I first stated with setting specific difficult goals. So I just thought that this is a good advance in goal theory because when I stated that from another piece of evidence that specific difficult goals help, this is new information that explains that maybe it's not the most helpful key to consider. So I felt that it was pretty important to see both sides of it and see how goal setting was first originated and how it is being edited, it's being reviewed, and just opinions are being changed based off of research. Locke explains that even though there is the expectation that when you expect higher the performance, or when you set higher goals, the performance will be higher, that this may not be true for every organization. And that's just important to consider at the end of the day because you could set these huge, unrealistic goals and it may just be setting your organization and your members back because you're just not setting yourself up for success. There was also another piece of research found from Seitz and Latham in 2000 that examined the effects of conflict versus no conflict between an individual's and a group's goals. In a laboratory task involving monetary incentives, they found no main effect for goal setting. However, having high personal goals that were compatible with the group's goal enhanced group performance, whereas having personal goals that were incompatible with the group's goal had a detrimental effect on how well the group performed. So pretty much it just shows that there is more that goes into goal setting than what meets the eye, and that most of the time it's the way that the perspectives change the way they approach goal setting. So I thought that this piece of evidence was pretty important because it explained through Locke's article that he used another person's research and it just, helped his perspective on how it affects the individuals differently for goal setting. It's not going to be one universal way that fits everyone. So it's definitely a very important, lesson to just remember that goal setting looks different for everyone. However, it will always be present in those that want to achieve their goals. And to continue for advances in goal theory, as stated in the previous slide, it was evident that a main reoccurring theme in goal setting for large organizations was that they experienced more success when the goals were compatible. So it's just important to always remember that you must be realistic when you're setting these goals, because when these goals aren't compatible with what your organization has to offer, you may just be setting yourself back. And as stated before, it's just not going to help. It's not going to do what you think it will do by setting these really outrageous, unrealistic goals. Locke, 2006, page 267 stated, "Intriguing findings in social psychology by Barg and Char, Tran and others," he was using another person's research as well to help his perspective, suggested that even goals that are subconsciously primed and participants report no awareness of the prime motive affect performance. So pretty much from this, I got that it's important to understand these potential effects, because then you can see the potential growth of performance based off of these findings. So I just thought that that was important, because by understanding goal setting as a whole, you will be able to use it to your advantage, and just getting a better just understanding the concept as a whole will help your organization. And for the direction of future goal setting, Locke on 268 stated, page 268 stated, "Future research could include studies of the effects of different types of learning goals and ways of combining them with performance goals. Learning goals first, then performance goals. The relation between goals and cognition, goal hierarchies, and macro goal studies with organizations of different sizes." So pretty much from this, I got the future of goal setting could be surrounded by understanding the importance of learning, or more so the journey before expecting the goal setting. So pretty much from this, I got that it may be more important to understand how your company allows like the learning of the concept rather than just expecting the results from it. So maybe research could potentially be more focused on how the goals come to be rather than what the goals will end up looking like or what the effects from the goals will be. Also, Locke 268, page 268 stated, "Because goal setting is an open theory, there's no limit to the number of discoveries that can be made or to the integrations that might be made between goals theory and other theories." I really thought that this was honestly a huge finding, because it kind of just states that goal setting theory will always be consistently changing, because it is like they stated, open to just constantly be evolving. So it's just important to understand that there isn't one universal way that goal setting theory will affect every single organization, but it will look different for every organization. So it's just important to be open-minded to goal setting and just kind of getting a little bit better understanding of what that means to you and your company. All right, and that is the end of my presentation. For my resources, I used Locke and Latham in their article, New Directions in Goal Setting Theory, and I used Miles, the assigned book for this course, Management and Organizational Theory. And I also used an article from Dweck, The Study of Goals in Psychology. And that will be the end of my presentation. Thank you.